able to accomplish for 3 weeks of training camp. I think we've evolved as a team. We've come together as a team, which is vitally important. And now we're posed with a challenging schedule and season, and to kick it off against Eastern Washington. I congratulated Coach Baldwin there when he won a national championship at the end of the year, and then I had to remind myself that we play them the first game of the year. This is a football team that plays extremely hard. They're very well coached. And because of that, they're opportunistic. I think we saw that in the playoffs when you watch the games and look at the film. They make the plays at the most opportunistic times to really change games. And by doing that, you have to have good players in place to make that happen. And obviously on offense with the quarterback, Levi Mitchell, the offensive line returning 4 or 5 starters, the long, rangy, tall wide receivers they possess offensively present challenges. Defensively, up front with Williams at defensive tackle and the Johnsons there at middle linebacker and a safety, their defense is really anchored right down the middle of their defense, which is where you want it to be anchored. That's where your defense has to begin. And so this is an exciting time for us, but yet one that we know is very challenging. A team that's coming in here with a lot of confidence, has won a lot of football games, more games than we've won the last 2 years, that's for sure. So it'll pose a great threat for us that way. I think as far as our football team, where we've come in a long way, in my opinion, is just the depth. The simple fact that we're going to play more bodies than we ever have at wide receiver, at defensive line, at linebacker, at safety, and play guys earlier in the ball game, not waiting. But you're going to see guys the third series of the game. You're going to see a lot of different numbers, and that's the beauty of creating depth on your roster and playing guys and getting them opportunities to play. So I think you'll see that as a little bit of a different change of maybe who we are, what we've been the past couple years. We do not know yet the status of Polk, Richardson, or Fogerson. We'll assess them as the week goes on. We'd like to be able to make some form of a decision, at least internally, by Wednesday, but that remains to be seen, so we'll see where we go from there. As far as the punter, Rasp and Mayhem will both punt. Hopefully we don't punt too many times, but you never like sending your punting unit out there, but you'll see both those guys punting. Some other notes: the goal for us this year is to redshirt Cody Bruns for a lot of reasons, some personal, some strategic on our part. It'd be great to have a veteran leader, senior wide receiver next year as we graduate some seniors this year. And because of the depth of position and some of the things in his personal life, we think that's the best thing for him and the best thing for us. But we'll see how that goes. As far as other red shirts on our roster, there's some really easier decisions to make. The Cason Williams, the Austin Safarian Jenkins, the Danny Sheltons, those guys are going to play. And there's a lot of easier ones to make of guys that are insuring of red shirts. And then we've got some gray area on some guys that we're going to have to make some tough decisions on here throughout this week, and then potentially in the next week and the week after that as they develop. Some of those guys are obviously a Bishop Sankey, a James Sample, a Marcus Peters, guys that are on the cusp, kind of in and out of the 2 deep, and with injuries and whatnot, how that plays. And the last thing I want to do is not have a kid play and have him get 18 or 20 snaps on the year. That's not worth it for him, and that's not worth it for us in the long run. So we have to make sure that it's worth their while, worth our while, that they're getting substantial time where this year they can benefit from this year playing. If not, I know the majority of these kids can benefit from this year, from redshirting for the long run for this program and where we're headed. So we'll have to make some tough decisions as the week goes on. I do feel like this ball game traditionally is one when you kick off the season, it's your first ball game. So much of the stuff of concerning on my end is the line of scrimmage, the false starts, the illegal procedures, defensive linemen lined up in the neutral zone, the timing on stuff like fly sweeps and things that we like to do to make sure that stuff's on point, because that's when things can go astray when you're starting 1st and 15s because of a false start, or you're fumbling a snap or an exchange on a fly sweep. And so those things are things that will really be our focus throughout this week to make sure we're clean and at the line of scrimmage come Saturday afternoon. And also that our energy, our enthusiasm, and our effort is right come Saturday. And that those will be the first 3 things that we want to make sure we play with. Of course, we want to do things right, but I want to make sure our energy's right, our enthusiasm's right, and that our effort's right when we come out and play Saturday afternoon. And then lastly, it's going to be great to get out in front of our fans and to be in Husky Stadium for the final season of this place and to kick it off against an in-state opponent, Eastern Washington. It's an exciting time. I think that our kids are really going to embrace the atmosphere, and we're hopeful that our fans embrace the ball game as well.
Are there any questions from anybody on the conference?